if you've made it this far, it's time to move on to the next step, which is building the base of the printer bar. So, it might be feeling kind of strange why we waited till now to build the base, but the simple fact is the base involves a lot more electronics, so you're going to rely on the skills you learnt in this one using all the T-slots, and the skills you learnt in this mounting all the bearings, and we're going to combine those and then add all the electronics on top of that, so it is getting a little more complicated. What you will need to start are 2 big fat stepper motors and 1 toothed pulley. Now the toothed pulley goes onto this stepper motor here. So previously we put the toothed pulley on this way with the grub screws at the top. This time we're going to put it on with the grub screws to the bottom. So make sure you can see that flat there, then put the grub screw on. To set the height we use a spare washer. Put the washer underneath, then push this down as far as it goes so that it can't touch the bottom. Once that's done, use the Allen key to wiggle that washer out, and you will have this pulley down as far as it goes towards the bottom without touching the motor casing. Once you're done with that, it's time to pull everything apart and super glue it. Just like last time, we always leave 1 grub screw in held tight while we take the other out. Leave it on the end of your Allen key. And never ever trust your super glue. It's just waiting for a chance to take you by surprise. Put the tiniest drop possible on the end. So small a drop you don't even think it's worth doing. Wind it in, tighten it up, and then do the other grub screw. Smallest drop possible. Oh, it nearly took advantage of me there. A bit of extra came out. Wind it in. And job done. Return the super glue to the sin bin. And we're ready to continue. This second stepper motor doesn't get a pulley. In the long term, it's going to get this nice Z coupling added to it. Smooth out these 2 cables, make them a little easier to use. Now, for this next step, you're going to need these 3 wooden pieces with the stepper motor holes in them. That's kind of funny. We've got 2 stepper motors and we've got pieces with stepper motor holes in. It's almost like they were made for each other. So grab those, you'll have to cut them out of your plate, and then don't forget to sand all the box connectors to make them easy to connect together. And then we're going to need some metric hardware. So we're going to need 4 M3 by 10 screws for 1 stepper motor. And then for the other stepper motor, we're going to need 2 M3 by 10 screws and 2 M3 by 16 screws. So in total, that's 6 M3 by 10s and 2 M3 by 16s. Add to that 1 extra M3 by 16 with a nut for holding these pieces together. And then we're going to build a couple of little pulleys. And for that, we're going to need 2 M4 by 12s. So these guys are pretty fat. 2 of these tiny little 624 bearings. They're fast, so maybe lay them down. And you're going to need 6 of the M4 washers. So 3 for one and 3 for the other. As we get to the end, we're going to build these stacks. So the first step is put these to a side, grab this guy, grab a fancy stepper motor with fancy screw on top, and then place the X plate on top so that this wire is protruding from the left. We're then going to use 2 of the M3x10s to secure this plate down. So in these top 2 outermost holes, it's always a good idea to get them both started before you do them up really tight. And we're not going to do them up completely, we're actually going to leave them sitting there just for a sec. And then we're actually going to insert this M3 nut to the top here. It won't come out the back because the stepper motor's in there. And it won't come out the front because we're about to add this guy to the top. This guy will hold everything in place. And to hold it in place, we need to add 2 M3x16s. Once these guys have started, it's a really good idea to go back for those 2 M3x10s, and we'll tighten all 4 of these guys together. So, just like every other time, we get all the screws till they're about to start, till we feel the tension increasing. You can get these 2 through the holes. And once they're all there, give them all our water turn to make sure they stay. Nice, so this guy's here, this cable leads to the left, and we've got the 2 plates on. We're going to mount our 2 pulleys straight away. So what the pulleys are made out of is one of these M4x12s, a washer. You've got to be careful, these washers are so tight you'll have to wind them on all the way. But that's good, because they serve a purpose. So once you get the washer all the way on, you might even need to use the big Allen key to help you wind it on here. You then add one of these magic bearings, and then 2 more washers. All together, you should have a nice stack like this. Bolt head, 1 washer, bearing, 2 washers, and then this keeping together. We need 2 of these on either side of this motor at the top. So 1 in one side. Make sure the bearing still spins nice and freely. Then go over the side, put 1 in the other side. Job done. Now this guy's done, put him aside, grab this next stepper motor. Again, wires should exit to the left. And grab the last plate with a stepper hole in it with a Z mark next to it. This guy goes on top, and we're going to need 4 of these. The last 4 M10 screws you got ready to hold this guy in. So line them up, get them all started. Once they're all started, we'll tighten them all up. There we go, looks marvellous. But if you're looking at parts bin, we have one M3x16 left over. Do you remember that little nut that we put in there before that's floating in the top? That's the friend for that M16. So we have to connect these two plates together. And then, if everything works out, this screw should go down and pick up that nut. And I'm lucky today, mine's working out very nicely. And you should make sure both motors are exiting to the left here. And you've got your nice pulley and 2 bearings on the top there. And job done. We've now got a third unit to put in our pile over here out the way.